Is it audible?
Sir.
Yes.
So, in the last class, we were discussing about this structural evaluation of flexible payments, and we have completed with this discussion of Benkelman beam deflection studies. And we have solved some problems also, that is using the DBD study data, how we will be designing this overlay. So today we will be moving to the next equipment which is used to determine the structural condition of the payment, that is the structural capacity of the payment by using a falling weight deflectometer. So falling weight deflectometer nowadays, rather than using the Benkelman beam deflection studies, we will be using this FWD, which is also called as a FWD, that is a falling weight deflectometer. So there is a separate codal provision for this falling weight deflectometer, that is a IRC 115/2004. That is a Indian Roads Congress 115/2004. You can Google it. You will get the IRC code book and you can go through that. Okay. If you have any doubts or if you have any problems with this FWD and what are the specification, how we are going to conduct, everything will be provided in this code book called IRC 115/2004. Now we will see how we will be evaluating this structural capacity or structural condition of the flexible payment using a falling weight deflectometer. So significant development have taken place during past few decades in terms of equipment and analytical tools adapted for structural evaluation. So till now we will be using, till 2004 we were using this BBD only. Only BBD is used, that is Benkelman beam deflection studies. Okay, Benkelman beam deflection studies. So Benkelman beam deflection studies were used till 2004 for determining the structural condition or structural evaluation of the flexible payment. But nowadays what they have made means they have adopted some analytical tools and equipments based on the impulse loading. We are going to obtain the structural condition. So using the impulse as the loading factor. Okay, impulse, that is the radiations, we can call it as radiations. Using the radiations we are going to have this impulse loading, and that equipment which is based on the impulse loading, we are going to call it as a falling weight deflectometer. So falling weight deflectometer, which is based on the impulse loading equipment, which is works on the principle of impulse load, which is going to apply, and have been developed, which is closely simulates the duration and amplitude of the load pulses. Well, now we know that the pavement, if you consider a flexible pavement, for example, this will be the flexible pavement. If you apply the load, okay, if you apply the load means the load is not constant. It will be varying, and number of repetitions it is going to apply. So it will apply more number of repetitions, so which will form a deformation, which will undergo deformation. So that deformation measurement can be done by using this falling weight deflectometer. Similar to BBD, the deflectometer works, but there we have got a static load. Yes or no? We have got a static load, that is a loaded truck we have used. Okay, loaded truck we have used, but here it is dynamic load, that is a free fall load. We are going to apply the free fall load, you are going to apply, and you are going to record the deflection reading. Okay, is it clear? So you are going to apply free fall load and you are going to get the deflection readings. Okay, is it clear? Kindly respond. Kindly respond. You can unmute yourself or you can leave a message in the chat section. Is it understood? Sir. Kindly respond. Others. So here we will be applying the dynamic load, that is a free fall load you are going to apply, and you are going to record the readings, that is you are going to record the deflection. So what is the principle behind this falling weight deflectometer? The performance of flexible payment can be evaluated by applying loads on the payment. I told, right, you are going to apply the load on the payment, whether it may be a static load or dynamic load. That is, you are going to apply static load or dynamic load that simulate the traffic loading, recording the responses of such loading and deformation under such. What you are going to do means, whenever you are going to apply the load on the pavement means, it will undergo deformation. There will be elastic deformation. So we are applying the load. Because of this load, the response we are going to get, okay, that response we are going to call it as a elastic deflection. So whenever you apply the load on the pavement means the pavement is undergoing deflection. It will undergo deflection. That deflection we are going to call it as a response, which is a elastic in nature. So taking the elastic deformation data and analyzing the data by considering the subgrade strength, thickness and quality of each pavement materials, drainage condition, pavement surface, temperature. So remember, whatever the principle behind this FWD means, you are going to apply dynamic load which will forms the elastic deformation. So the response, you are going to apply dynamic load. The response what we are going to get is a elastic deformation. Elastic deformation. So collecting the elastic deformation data, how much it has deformed, and analyzing with the factors like subgrade strength, thickness, quality of each material, then drainage condition and temperature. Analyzing that deflection data with all this data, which will leads to the structural evaluation of the pavement. And the resulting load deflection data can be interpreted through appropriate analytical techniques, okay, such as a back calculation technique. Okay, using this back calculation technique. So using the back calculation technique, we are going to analyze the load deflection data in the FWD. So remember, what is this back calculation means? Earlier in the BBD, we are applying a load, we are directly getting the deflection value. But here we are not directly getting the structural condition of the pavement. We are applying the load and we will be working out the deflection based on these data. Based on these data, we will be working out the deflection. That's why it is called as a back calculation technique. So remember, in the BBD, whenever you apply the load, the deflection value will be easily calculated using the formula. But here the deflection will be depends on this subgrade strength, thickness and quality of each pavement material. That's why it is called back calculation. By knowing all this value, we will be determining the deflection. That's why it is called as a back calculation technique. So remember, the principle behind this FWD is whenever we apply the load on the pavement, the elastic responses we are going to get, that is elastic deformation response, which will be analytically analyzed by using the following criteria: subgrade strength, thickness, quality of each material, drainage condition and temperature. Then by working out all this data by back calculation method, using the back calculation method, we are going to adopt this FWD. And to estimate the elastic moduli of the pavement layer, the computed moduli are internally. You are going to estimate E value. So the Young's modulus of the pavement material, the Young's modulus of the pavement material are based. Okay. Excuse me, the Young's modulus. From this FWD, we are not only determining the elastic deflection ball, we will be determining the Young's modulus of each material. So we will be determining the Young's modulus of each material and not only the deflection, okay, not only the deformation or deflection, we will be determining this Young's modulus. Where you are going to use this Young's modulus? In strength evaluation of different layers of in-service payment. That is the payments which are still in good condition, there you can use this C value. Then estimation of remaining life in the service payment. Okay, that is strength evaluation we can easily done. Then estimating the remaining life, how much years it can sustain, that is how many days it can sustain, that is the estimation of remaining life of the service payment we can easily determine. Then determination of strengthening requirement. Okay, that is if the Young's modulus is very low. Okay, for example, at the earlier stage it was around 3000 MPa. After 5 years or 10 years, the Young's modulus is reduced to 300 MPa. So there is a drastic reduction in the Young's modulus. So what you are going to do means you are going to suggest the strengthening. There is a strengthening requirement of the payment can be done using this E value which is obtained from the FWD. Then evaluation of different rehabilitation alternatives. There is evaluating the alternatives. There is rehabilitation like overlay, recycling, partial reconstruction, etc. So these can be assessed by using this Young's modulus, which will be determined by this falling weight deflectometer. So remember, in this falling weight deflectometer, we will be determining the deflection. Not only the deflection we are going to determine, we are going to determine the Young's modulus of the material. Okay, Young's modulus of the payment and Young's modulus. But in the BBD, we have determined only the deflection criteria. Only we have to determine the deflection parameter. So this is a upgraded method which is used to determine the that is the strength of the existing payment. That is the structural evaluation can be done using FWD by determining the E value, that is Young's modulus of all the materials or Young's modulus of the payment we can easily determine. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear? Kindly respond. You can leave a message or you can unmute yourself and you can answer. Understood? Is it clear? Kindly respond. Vaishnavi, Rajita. Yes, okay. If you are facing any problem, means you can ask me. You can stop at any time. You can ask the question. Okay. Okay. Next is a working principle. How it will be working. Before coming here, I am going to show some video there. I am planning to show some videos. Is the audio is audible? Is the audio is audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You can see that the falling weight deflectometer, the sensors, I told right, there will be a dynamic load in that the plate you are going to apply the dynamic load. Again, I will show this the other video. So the sensors are lowered down. You can see how the readings will be recorded in the system. can observe there. The load is applied now. You can see carefully. You can see the load is applied. You can see this is the software. 9 sensors will be there. You can observe. The load applied will be there. This is one, and you can observe this one also.
By many states to help manage their pavements as part of rehabilitation analysis or network management. They are also used to help with forensic studies of distressed pavements. An FWD can also help evaluate soft sections of pavement, determine the transfer efficiency of concrete slabs, and facilitate the design of pavements from total reconstruction to the determination of overlay thickness.
You can see there how the sensors will
allows
be
an agency
inserted.
to go
And,
down the pavement and
you can
assess
observe the
multiple
load.
points fairly
They are
quickly
applying
with
the
limited
load.
amounts of time needed for traffic control, which is very expensive. The FWD can help determine the expected response of the pavement surface, and to some extent,
You can
the response
observe the
beneath
load.
the surface
Free
due to
fall
the
load.
passage
I
of
told
trucks
right.
and
We're
other
going to
large
apply
vehicles.
free fall load.
It is critical that the data from the FWD be as accurate and precise as possible. Errors in the data will lead to errors in the pavement analysis. Without calibration, the bias error of an FWD could be as large as plus or minus 2% for each sensor. It is important to reduce these systematic errors in the deflection and load readings as much as possible. During FWD calibration, we can reduce the bias errors to about 0.3%. This greatly improves the quality of any pavement analysis.
Low pavement evaluations, Cal.
So now they are showing how to calibrate the
Meter owner's
FWD.
manual. I can also send you.
This checklist contains typical maintenance activities that should be performed before leaving for the calibration center. If these steps are done prior to arrival, the calibration process will go much smoother and faster.
So we can say that the FWD is also a towing equipment. So similar to your fifth wheel bump integrator. So in that the sensors will be there. That is the 7 sensors will be there. Then the load will be applied dynamically. So the load will be applied dynamically such that due to application of the load, the response will be recorded at different locations. Similar to your BBD. So here also you are going to record the responses. All those things I am going to show in the PPT. So kindly go through the video how they will be calibrating.
The calibration center. One of the first steps after getting to the calibration center is removal of the deflection sensors from their holders.
You can see there the sensors will be presented. That is the 9 sensors will be there.
Sensors. The sensors are usually removed by the FWD operators because they know that.
So you can observe they are removing the sensors. Okay. Those are the sensors which will be recording the readings.
Deflection sensor calibration. This is done to improve the accuracy of the data from the accelerometer. Calibration of the deflection sensor starts with reference calibration versus the accelerometer. The goal here is to calibrate the sensors versus a reference device to ensure accuracy. This is done by placing the deflection sensors from the falling weight deflectometer along with the reference accelerometer in a large stand. As series
You
of
can
drops are
observe there
performed
the load
where
is
the reference
falling.
accelerometer and the
The dynamic
sensors
load
from
is
the
falling
FWD
and
see
they are
the same
recording the
deflection. After one
data.
trial is done, the sensors are rotated relative to the accelerometer and a second trial is completed. A third and fourth trial may be needed in some cases. The results from this reference calibration are used to create a series of interim gain factors for the deflection sensors.
You can observe there how the data will be
After
collected.
reference calibration, a relative calibration improves the precision of the deflection sensor calibration. To accomplish this, a large number of drops are done with the FWD to tighten up the data. These results are used to produce the final gain factors for the FWD. The first step of load cell calibration is to make sure that the reference load cell is in line with the FWD load cell. This has to be done manually.
One more. Okay, drop it. Excellent.
Before load cell calibration, the center operator adjusts the settings on the front of the signal conditioner completed. The load cell is
You can observe the load. It was like dynamic load is we are applying on the pavement surface. Similarly, they are applying the dynamic load and recording the deflection data. So there is a software. Using that software, they are going to record the data.
Here's a copy of your calibration, Dan. You might want to keep.
center operator. In that example, underpredicted deflections could lead to a thinner overlay that may not last as long as planned. Overpredicted deflections may result in excess costs due to extra material being placed. These monies could have been applied to other projects. A recent study by the National Cooperative Highway Research Program on falling weight deflectometer usage by the state departments of transportation looked at the issues of calibration and the quality of the data collected. One of the studies they reviewed from Indiana showed that a calibrated FWD could save 24% in the area that had to be undersealed. This is a tremendous cost savings just due to having a calibrated FWD. Almost everybody can get their FWD to the calibration center within an 8-hour drive. With the current protocol, the FWD operator can drive to the calibration center, stay over just one night, calibrate the machine in the morning, and return home by that evening. Falling weight deflectometer calibration centers are located in Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Colorado, Montana, California, Texas.
You can observe at the starting
Pavements
how
for
they
total
will be
reconstruct
recording
the
the
train
reading.
and the concrete slightly thick.
So you can see there
The
the
speed of the
sensors are
FWD
lowered
allows an agency to
at the bottom,
go down the
and you
pavement
can
and test
see
multiple
how
points
the
fairly
load will be
quickly with
applied.
limited
Okay,
amounts of time
and
needed
it
for
will be
traffic
recorded
control,
in the
which is very
software.
expensive.
Okay, the deflection value
The
at the different
FWD can help
intervals.
determine the
I'm going to
expected
say what
response
are
of
the
the pavement
intervals
surface.
they are going to
And to
take.
some extent, the response
So you
beneath
can
the
see
surface
there.
due to the passage of trucks and other large vehicles. It is critical that the data from the FWD be as accurate and precise as possible. Errors in the data will lead to errors in the pavement analysis. Without calibration, the bias error of an FWD could be as large as plus or minus 2% for each sensor. It is important to reduce these systematic errors in the deflection and load readings as much as possible. During FWD calibration, we can reduce the bias errors to about 0.3%. This greatly improves the quality of any pavement analysis.
So whatever the okay. So whatever the video I have shown, it is similar to this one. That is, this is the equipment which is used, and so I told right, there will be a load which is applied. That is the falling mass which is going to apply on the pavement surface. So this is a falling mass, and these are the sensors. I told right, 6 to 7 sensors will be there, or up to 9 sensors you can place, and those sensors will be recording the deflection reading. So in the BBD we have seen that only the dial gauge will be recording the deflection reading, but here the sensors will be placed, and these sensors will be recording the reading. So how this FWD works means which is works on a impulse loading device, which is a transient load is applied to the pavement, and a deflected shape of the pavement surface is measured. So you are going to apply a dynamic load. That is a dynamic load. You are going to apply dynamic load, and you are going to measure the deflected surface. So this is the deflected surface. The dotted line you can observe, that is the deflected surface. So that surface deflection you are going to measure. Then the working principle of FW is illustrated in figure. E naught, etc. measured or surface deflection. So whenever the load is lifted and made to fall freely, the pavement surface is going to deflect. That deflection will be recorded by these sensors. Okay, the deflection is recorded by the sensors, which are measured radially. Okay, you can observe. Okay, this is R, R2, R3, R4, R5. That is the deflections are measured radially, not vertically. Vertically we are not measuring. The depth is kept constant. So we are determining the depth only. So we are going to measure radially. Impulse load is applied by means of a falling mass. I told right, a static load, a dynamic load is going to apply. So a free fall weight is going to fall from a certain height. Okay, a free fall which is going to fall from a certain height, and because of free fall weight, the deflection is going to occur, and as we all know that below the load the deflection will be maximum. That is a D naught is a maximum deflection. Okay, so which is allowed to drop vertically on a stem of springs placed over a circular loading plate. The deflected shape of pavement is measured using displacement sensors. I told right, displacement sensors or deflection sensors will be available. Using the deflection sensors, we are going to record the how much deflection has takes place because of this free falling weight at a radial distance. So if they ask you to explain the working principle, means simply write it works on the principle of impulse loading device. A transient load or a dynamic load is applied on the pavement surface, then the deflection is measured when you apply the load, and the deflections like D naught, D1 up to D5 you are going to measure. That is radially you are going to measure, not vertically. You are going to measure radially. Because of this falling mass, the pavement surface undergoes deflection, and you are going to measure the deflection radially. And the load is applied to a spring mass. Okay, you are going to apply the load to a spring mass, and a loading plate which is of circular in nature. Okay, a loading plate will be there. So in the video we have seen the load is lifted up to a certain height, and it will be dropped, and the deflection values are recorded in the software. Okay, the software we are going to connect as a Dynatest FWD software. Okay, FWD. So this is the software which is developed by Dynatest. So using the Dynatest FWD software, we are going to record the reading. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear? Kindly respond. You can leave a message,
sir.
or you can answer. Okay. Next is a procedure. What are the components will be there? So a typical FWD is a circular loading plate of diameter 300 to 450 meter. So I told right, a loading plate will be there at the bottom. You can observe here. This is the, I'll erase the things. Okay, you can observe here a loading plate will be provided. That is a circular loading plate will be provided, which is of 300 to 450 mm diameter. A rubber pad of minimum 5 mm thick should be glued to the bottom of the loading plate for uniform distribution of load. So if we provide a rubber pad, means it acts as a spring media. Okay, if we add a rubber pad, means it acts as a spring media, so it will not affect the existing condition of the pavement. It will not affect the existing condition of the pavement. So we are going to provide a diameter of 300 to 450 meter, 450 mm diameter circular plate with a 5 mm thick rubber pad. I told right, the rubber pad acts as a spring media, which will not create any deformation or which will not create any effect on the existing condition. Then a falling mass is a range of 50 to 350 kg. Okay, remember a falling mass which will be that the falling weight will be having a load range of 50 to 350 kg. Okay, so remember 50 to 350 kg of the load you are going to apply is dropped from an height fall of 100 to 600 mm. Okay, so 50 to 350 kg, 100 to 600 mm height. There is a 0.1 meter to 0.6 meter height. You are going to take the lift the weight and you are going to apply the load. And of desired peak and duration, heavier models use falling weight range of around 200 to 700. So this is for a lower model. This is for lower model. If you are going for heavier model, means the load will be, you can take it as a 200 to 700 kg. The load can be taken it as a 200 to 700 kg. And the target peak load to be applied on the bituminous pavement is a 40 kilonewton. Okay, which corresponds to the load on one DL wheel, etc. So again, whatever the load you are going to apply, it should be around 80 kilonewton divided by 2. That is a 40 kilonewton should be applied on the pavement surface. Okay, that is a 4180 kg. The same 4180 kg you are going to apply on the pavement surface. Why? Because it is the standard axle load which is plying on the Indian highways. So here we have to apply a load of 40 kilonewton or 4180 kg on the pavement surface. And after applying, you are going to record the readings, deflection readings using geophones. Okay, so using the geophones, that is the deflection observant equipments. Okay, so deflection observation recordings. Okay, the geophones are used to observe the recordings of the deflection when we apply the load. And geophones are of 7 sensor based, 6 sensor based at a distance of 0, that is under the load, at a radial distance 300 mm, 600 mm, 900 mm, 1200, 1500 and 1800 real DL distance. So whenever you are applying, okay, whenever you are going for this FWD, means you are going to place the sensors in such a way that, so whenever it is 7 sensor, so R is equal to 0, that is below the load, then R is equal to 300 mm, R is equal to 600 mm, then R is equal to 900 mm, then R is equal to 1200, 1500, 1800 mm. So from here it is 300, 600, 900, 1200, 1500, then 1800 mm. From the falling weight at a radial distance of 300, 600, 900, 1200, 1500 and 1300, you are going to record the reading. And you can change the readings also at various distances. That is 200, 300, 450, 600, 900 and 1000. You can change the radial distances also. Whenever it is 6 sensor based, means you are going to adapt these readings, and whenever it is another 6 sensor, means you are going to adapt this radial distance. So remember, the diameter of the bottom plate will be 300 to 450 mm, which is glued with a 5 mm thick rubber pad and the weight, the falling weight is of range of 50 to 350 kg whenever it is a lower model. Whenever it is a higher model, the load will be around 200 to 700 kg you are going to apply, and at a free fall of 100 to 600 mm you are going to apply, and the radial distance of the sensors or geophones will be 0, 300, 600, 900, 1200, 1500. Likewise, you are going to install the geophones and you are going to record the deflection readings. Okay, this is the components, and next one is steps. How you are going to measure the deflection reading. So as we all know that in the BPD studies we have marked the points. We have grouped the stretch. Similarly, here also you are going to mark the points, and so mark the test point on the pavement. You are going to mark the test point on the pavement. For example, this is the road stretch. So for example, if you are measuring the deflection point here, you are going to mark the point, center the load plate. So you are going to place the load over this marking point. Okay, the load plate will be placed here. Lower the loading plate to the pavement. So in such a way that water should not be there. Okay, that is a surface texture completely filled with water on the. So whenever you are selecting this FWD means it is a non-rainy season. Okay, it is you should conduct this experiment in the non-rainy season, that is summer or winter. You are going to conduct. You are going to lower the circular plate over this point. The loading plate should be properly contact with the pavement surface. You are going to place the loading plate on this and lower the frame holding the displacement transducer. So you are going to hold the transducers like this. Okay, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you are going to lower the deflection transducers on the pavement surface. Then raise the mass of predetermined. You are going to raise the weight on the deflection plate and to a target load of 40 kilonewton. You are going to lift the weight and you are going to drop it on the seating load. Drop one seating load. That is, you are going to lift the weight and you are going to drop it on the circular plate. Then load and deflection data for seating load will to be recorded. So seating load will be recorded and the deflection corresponding to the seating load will be recorded. Then raise the mass and drop, record load deflection data into the computer through data acquisition system. So you are going to repeat that procedure till the data required for us is obtained. That is, you are going to lift it and you are going to drop it and you are going to record the reading. That is at all radial position. That is at 0, 300, 600, 900, 1200, 1500, then 1800 mm. You are going to record the reading. That all the record reading will be, all the radial distance record will be recorded, and time history, complete time history of the load and deflection can be stored in each if possible. Repeat the step H at least 2 times. So you are going to conduct the FWD at a point at 2 times. Okay, you are going to lift the load and you are going to record 2 times. Okay, at one load you are going to, at one point you are going to conduct this experiment at 2 times. Okay, understood? Have you understood anything? Have you understood? Kindly respond.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, if steps G and H, the deflection measures are too large. When you are applying the load, you have applied the load and recorded the deflection when they are too high. That is, when the deflection values are too high or too small, the test may be repeated by changing the peak load. So initially we have fixed it for 70 kg load. We have got a lesser value of deflection. So you change the peak load to 100 kg and record the reading. If we have fixed it for 700 kg load and we have got a deflection of more value, more deflection value we are getting. So reduce the load. Okay, that is when the deflection is too large or too small means you can change the peak load value. You can alter the peak load value. Then raise the geoframe and load plate and move to the next test location. So simple it is. You are going to mark the point. You are going to take the FWD to the side. You are going to exactly place the loading plate on the marked point. Lower the geophone's frame. Apply the load. Lift the load and leave the load. Record the load reading value. If the record readings are too large or too small, we can change the load value. The load value can be altered. Then this should be done. That is at one point you have to take two readings. Okay, at one point you are going to take two readings. That is two deflection values you are going to measure horizontally. That is radial measurement you are going to measure. Then record the air temperature half an hour interval. That is you are going to record the air temperature. For every half an hour interval, you are going to measure the air temperature. So you are going to record the air temperature at half an hour interval. You are going to record the air temperature for every 30 minutes. You are going to record. Then record pavement surface temperature if contact pressure sensors are available. So I told right in the starting only, that is the deflection value will be based on the pavement surface temperature and air temperature. So we will be recording the temperature of the pavement and the air temperature. Then measure pavement surface layer temperature at half an hour interval by drilling hole at 40 mm depth. So similar to your BBD, in the BBD you are going to measure the temperature using glycerin. So the same glycerol or glycerin using for every 40 minutes, for every 30 minutes you are going to drill the hole on the pavement and you are going to measure the temperature. Then deflection measurement should not be made with pavement temperature is more than 45 degree. So the drawback of this experiment is when the temperature is greater than 45 degree, when the temperature is greater than 45 degrees Celsius, then the deflection measurements will not be considered. So we will not be taking the deflection measurements when the temperature is more than 45 degrees. So this is about FWD. So is it clear? FWD only in the exam they will ask working principle, then procedure of working, how this FWD will be working. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So next one is a ground penetration radar. So I'll finish this one also. So this is also another equipment we can call it as a non-destructive field test. That is a GPR method. Nowadays, the Karnataka PWD has procured. Earlier it was FWD was there. Now they have procured this GPR. So which is a non-destructive testing. Whatever the test we have discussed till now, whether BBD, FWD, and GPR, these are all the non-destructive testing of bituminous layers. There is bituminous pavements, and GPR can utilize high-speed data collection at speeds up to 80 kmph, thus requiring less traffic control and resulting in greater safety. What will happen means this ground penetration radar, they will be sending some laser lights, okay, some laser radiations. So laser radiation will be sent to the pavement surface and it will be recorded. So in this some wavelength of laser light it will be sent and it will be recording the pavement condition. So you can observe here operates by transmitting a short pulses of electromagnetic energy into the ground. You can see there will be load is applied on the pavement. There is the radiations will be applied on the pavement and the reflection will be done by the sensors. The sensors will be reflecting to the antenna. So the electromagnetic waves energy are given to the ground. So electric magnetic energy into the ground, the reflected images of these pulses are analyzed using a one-dimensional electromagnetic propagation theory. So one-dimensional electromagnetic means only one wavelength of electromagnetic wave is produced, and it will be recorded in the antenna. So I think you have gone for subsoil exploration in that. You have used that method. I think in the geotechnical engineering, you have used this method, right? That is placing the geophones. That is subsoil exploration. There will be some radiations will be emitted, and it will be collected at the antenna. Likewise, have you observed or have you read anywhere in geotechnical engineering? Okay. So a ray of electromagnetic radiation will be sent to the pavement surface, and it will be sent up to the subgrade level, and it will be recorded. It will be returned, and it will be recorded back in the antenna. And these pulses are reflected back to the antenna with amplitudes and arrival times. So if the pavement is softer in nature, that is, if the pavement layer is softer in nature, means the readings will record at earlier stages only. The arrival time will be very less. If the pavement is of harder in nature, it takes times. That is, the ray takes time to travel through that, and it will return back. So that is, the amplitudes and arrival time of the electromagnetic waves are recorded in antenna, and those readings will be analyzed in the office. Okay, that is across the interfaces, part of the energy is reflected and part is observed depending on the dielectric constant of the material. So some part of the energy, so some part of the electromagnetic wave will be observed by this material, and some will be reflected. Here also some part will be observed and some part will be reflected. So in this, what will happen means when we are sending the electromagnetic radiation to the pavement, sir, that is in the layer, some energy will be observed and some energy will be reflected. That reflected energy we are going to collect and we are going to analyze. You can see here, I'll erase the things. You can see we are sending an electromagnetic wave. Okay, we are sending an electromagnetic wave on the pavement. You can observe here. Whenever it is surface, it is hitting back, that is in the air. Whenever it is asphalt layer, it takes little time to reach the antenna. Whenever it is base, it takes more time to reach the antenna. That is there will be some sensors which will be receiving the readings. Those readings can be analyzed. We can see here how this amplitude and record readings, how they are making. So you can see at the air, more amplitude we can observe. At the asphalt layer, you can observe lesser altitude. Why? Because these two layers are densely packed layers. Okay, these two layers are densely packed layers. That's why the amplitude is very less. Okay, this is about the ground penetration. What are the uses? Okay, where you can use means measuring the thickness of asphalt pavements, base and subgrade. Using the readings of the GPR, we can easily measure in office, not in field. In the office, you can easily measure the thickness of asphalt pavement, base and subgrade. Assisting the analysis of rutting mechanism, that is a rutting, how this rutting process will takes place. That is a rutting process, how it will be happening. It can be analyzed using this GPR. Then calculating and verifying material property. That is, the material property can be easily verified using this GPR method. Then locating subsurface objects. Locating subsurface objects like groundwater. So groundwater can be located using this GPR. Then detecting stripping or overlay or layer separation. That is stripping and layer separation can be done using this GPR method. Then subsurface moisture content. Okay, this is very important. There is a subsurface moisture content. There is the moisture content which is present in the subgrade soil. Okay, when the moisture content present in the subgrade soil or GSB, which can be easily determined by this ground penetration radar, and determining the depth near bedrock and peat deposit. That is the rock bed thickness can be determined using this GPR technique. Okay, these are the some applications of GPR. Usually they will ask write a short note on ground penetration radar. What you are going to write? You have to write all these things. Okay, that is what you mean by GPR. It is a non-destructive testing principle behind the GPR and applications. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear? Kindly respond. It is clear. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, I will stop here. In tomorrow's class, there is one more session. There is a we have to discuss about airfield payments. We will see in the next class. And for your IA, for your internals, the payment design methods, whatever the second in the second module, half portion we have already gone. The second half portion left out is payment design methods. Those methods we are going to use. Then the third module full till tomorrow. What I am going to teach till there you will be having for IA. And submit the assignment within due date. The second assignment has been given. Submit the assignment within due date. The late entry will be losing their marks. Okay, so be careful. Okay, I'll stop here. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Any doubts in this? Okay, I'll stop.